Wednesday. I'm so happy today to be joined by my friend Vincenzo Toscano from eCommerce, and we're going to be talking about something really cool today about utilizing AI for product development and sourcing. And why are we talking about this? Because we are headed to China in October. Vincenzo is going to be joining us for the second time.
Yeah.
We had a blast. We always have a blast, right?
Yeah.
And Vincenzo's always in charge of the parties. Everybody knows that. He's our
Don't
party
worry,
guy.
guys.
So we're going to be partying, having a great time in China, and of course, sourcing products. But before we source at a massive trade show like the Canton Fair, we really need to prepare. We need to be thinking about our list of products. What are we going to China to source? And so we're going to talk today about how you can utilize AI to come up with product ideas for product research, for product development, all those things, and how this fits into your sourcing timeline so that you can be prepared to actually go to China and source these things. And hopefully you'll join us in China. And if not, you can still use this information. It's going to be highly valuable for you. So tune in to today's session. It's going to be awesome. Vincenzo, I'm going to let you take it away from here because you already have a slide introducing yourself. So we'll just, go there.
Thank you. So I first want to start by saying thank you once again, Amy. You know, I always say this to you in person and virtually. I think you are crushing in the space, and with all the things that you do in terms of content, these events that every single time I go to an event, guys, I can tell you, Amy organize some of the best events out there. And of course, then I make sure you have the nice party side of it. But you guys can't miss this trip. I mean, the level of in depth we're going to go when it comes to really understanding how you can fully develop a product from the ground up and actually meeting the suppliers face to face is something that you're never going to be able to achieve through a laptop, right, or through a screen. So that's why I'm a huge advocate that going to China, meeting with these manufacturers and understanding what are some of your pain points as an Amazon sellers, reflect those pain points in a conversation with them and making sure they can bring to you whatever is required to you successfully scale your brand on Amazon. So with this presentation, essentially what I want to do is showcase a few of the things that I feel you should be using AI to prepare for the Canton Fair, right? Because at the end of the day, some of the big things I find when having conversation with sellers is that sometimes they go to China, but they can't get the most out of it because they haven't prepared in terms of what I need in the first place. Like I remember even myself when I went to China the first day, because I didn't do properly my prep for the first day, I said, oh, actually what I'm looking for. And then I went back to my room, I started doing some product development ideas, and the second day I crushed it, found a ton of ideas. And that's what I want to make sure you do as well. So when it comes to myself, just to give you a quick presentation. So very quickly, come from an aerospace background. I jumped into the e-commerce space over 7 years ago as a seller. From there, found the gap in the market that people were struggling when it comes to having a team around and scaling the brands on Amazon. That's how eCommerce was founded. Right now, we're a team of over 40 people. We manage brands pretty much across all regions. We have a ton of experience when it comes to everything that has to do with Amazon from A to Z. And that's effectively what brings me to my next slide in terms of some of the things we're using internally to make sure that we can give to our clients the best experience when it comes to product development. And I want to make sure you actually start doing that yourself internally. So some of the main things that we're using internally is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is basically the backbone of our agency and our clients, not only from the perspective of providing value to our clients, but actually even ourselves. Like we have our own custom ChatGPT in the agency. Like that's how powerful it can get. You can even do the same for your brand. Imagine having basically your own Alexa that knows your brand from top to bottom. It can be a machine when it comes to product development, and I'm going to give you some examples how you can achieve that. Before you do that, some of the big obstacles with ChatGPT is understanding prompts, because sometimes if you're not very specific with your prompts, you can easily fall into very trivial conversations that drive you nowhere. And that's where things such as this specific tool that's actually a Chrome extension is called APRM that you can see on the screen is going to basically open the Pandora box to multiple types of prompts. Here, we are not only talking from an Amazon perspective. You can find prompts for Walmart, for example, if you do Walmart, for Midjourney, as you see example, keyword research, product development, and that's going to allow you to basically jump multiple steps ahead in terms of right, and you have to figure out the proper way of communicating with a ChatGPT. Here you have everything that's basically being validated by people in the community. Once you get access to this, one of the first thing I use ChatGPT for is to analyze the market. If you're gonna go to China with us, right, the first thing you need to figure out, okay, what in the first place I'm gonna be selling on Amazon, right? And you need to make sure that whatever you bring to market is being backed up by data, and that's where ChatGPT can be a huge a friend when it comes to that. Some of the things that you have to take in consideration that before it took hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars to come up with an idea was market analysis, understanding what the competition is doing, where they're dropping the ball, and where you can come on board and fix the gap in the market and basically enter with a new offering that basically is able to offer a new feature to that community that is basically lacking, and you can become the dominant seller. How do you do that? With ChatGPT, essentially now you can put a ton of data to it, and we can analyze all the comments from essentially a potential customers that is essentially the avatar you will be selling for, that's giving you the answer to that. So we go to Amazon, we download the reviews of all our main competitors that essentially would resemble our niche, and that, guys, has most of the time 90% of the answer to your issues, because when people have an issue, they go to reviews. When people are super happy because they're proud of how their daughter reacted to the gift, they go to the reviews. When people are kind of disappointed midway because they are kind of happy but still feel it's lacking, they go to a review. So the reviews essentially is the Bible when it comes to how your customers, potential customers, are actually interacting with your competitors. So how do we do that? Effectively, here I did a quick video, and then of course I can share the slides because these videos are meant more for a demo purpose, so you can do in-house. So what you can do is you can use a tool such as Helium 10. You download all the reviews, and with simple prompts that you can find on the Chrome extension I found you, essentially within seconds you can create a script of what are the things the product has to have in terms of things that people love about the product, things that people hate about the product, and things that no product in the market as of now has. So imagine now go to the Canton Fair, you have the answer in your hands, and when you talk to this Chinese manufacturer, and the first thing they're going to ask you, okay, do you want some kind of personalization? Do you want us to really only do the product as you see on the stand, or you want us to go beyond our way and do something unique? That's where you're going to have this piece of document in your hands, and you're going to say, actually, yes, I want to make sure the product has this and that, because that's why my potential customers are actually lacking in the niche, right? And
And Vincenzo, I have a question.
yeah.
When it comes to AI PRM, how do people get AI PRM? So I saw you were using it within ChatGPT,
Yeah.
but how do they get that? Where's the access? Should they be Googling a Chrome extension?
Yes, that's correct. So the way you get it is essentially you go to Google, you put ARPRM in Google, it's a Chrome extension. You download it, you connect it to your ChatGPT account, and essentially that's gonna open the library to all the prompts for you to have access to. Yeah.
Got it. And so what you're doing is you're downloading the reviews from Helium 10's Chrome extension, which is free, everybody. You can go to Helium 10, you can create a free account, and you can download the reviews right from the page. And then you can upload those reviews into your conversation with ChatGPT, and you can prompt ChatGPT to have, to analyze those reviews for certain things like sentiment and common themes, what customers like, what customers dislike. So instead of you trying to manually read through all these reviews, you can use AI to your advantage and let it do the hard work for you and have it act as a market research analyst.
That's correct. And another extra tier I will add, guys, which is connects a little bit to the thing I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, is what I usually recommend my clients, and actually we do that internally, is that when you start doing all this interaction with ChatGPT, if you actually get the paid version, you can have your custom ChatGPT. Why I think that's the best way to go? Because effectively, if you have your custom ChatGPT, all the conversations are basically interconnected. It starts to become its own spider web of knowledge. And given that you most likely, once you start asking this question to ChatGPT, it's going to be tailored to a specific niche, you want the ChatGPT to get smart with you as you go along, like with the insights you're getting from the reviews, with the insights you're getting from extra reports you embed within the ChatGPT. Therefore, if you keep this in a closed loop, as imagine you did all the product development on your custom ChatGPT, in the future, when you say to ChatGPT, actually write a listing about my product, now ChatGPT knows everything about the tonality, the product, everything. It's all custom. Basically saved into that custom ChatGPT. It's going to be even more tailored and accurate. So that's an extra tip I recommend if you can. And in order for you to go, you will go to ChatGPT, you go to your settings, and then there's an option there to do your custom ChatGPT, which is no extra charge if you have the paid plan. Yeah. Now, if we go to the next slide, another thing that I think is super important is also validation of products, because sometimes we can come across interesting ideas from reviews. We can then identify, okay, this new feature that makes sense. Nobody has it, but at the end of the day, guys, and this is something that we have to understand. Amazon, you don't sell products, you sell keywords. Why this is important? Because if the ramification of the product that comes from product development is such a it gives you such a different outcome, that the keywords that will essentially connect to the product in the first place don't really have a high demand, or people don't even know that these keywords are the one people have to use to find the product. It can be the most amazing product, but it's not going to sell. And we see that all the time. I can't tell you how many times I jump on a call and people say, yeah, but my product was in Kickstarter, my product has a patent, has a unique thing, but yeah, nobody knows that exists, so nobody's going to look for it. So that's why it's very
And I would
important.
also say, you're going to see, if you're coming with us to China, there's over 80,000 suppliers at the Canton Fair. You're going to see so many new and innovative ideas, and you can't forget to validate them, right?
Yeah.
You need to use these tools. So of course you want to go to China with a list, but you also want to take the time to validate anything that you see there, because and what happens when we all go to China together is we actually come up with ideas on the fly. Like
Exactly.
we're walking through and like, oh my gosh, you could do that, or you could sell that to this market. And, we come up with all these ideas together, and, we get excited, and we don't want to be placing orders or moving forward until we've actually validated. So here we are, we can validate our product ideas following these steps.
Yeah, and another thing, guys, is for those that are coming with us to China, like the first thing I will do is also download the app on your phone, because now you can also have voice interaction with ChatGPT. So imagine walking the floor and having this assistant that knows everything, right, about what you are trying to achieve, because you've been interacting beforehand. And essentially, you're walking the floor and you say, okay, I found this product that has this, and that. Based on the research and so far, do you think this would be a good addition to my brand lineup? And now you have an assistant, basically, that before would cost you thousands of dollars to have this person by your side. Now you have ChatGPT in the palm of your hands that basically has all this bolt of knowledge, right? So that by itself, it can give you a huge leap in terms of advantage, in terms of at the speed at which you can make decisions. Because let's be honest, it's very time consuming to always on the spot having to do a keyword research, everything. Now if you have ChatGPT, you can be more proactive. With that, of course, what you want to do, I mean, these are some of the high level things, but more than these 6 criteria, what I want to give you as a message, you have to define really factors that define for your winning product. Here are the traditional ones we see everywhere, but this list can go up to 20, 30, 40 things that will be limited to things such as your interest, in terms of your interest in a specific category, things that have to do with your mission for your brand, things that have to do with the profit margins that you want to handle, things that have to do with a tariff, things that have to do with the location you want to manufacture this product from, so many things. So what I'm trying to reflect with this slide is that once you have an extensive list of criteria and factors, those are the ones you're going to give to ChatGPT to say, this is essentially my non-negotiables. Whatever you give me as an outcome has to be checking all these one by one, which if you will try to do this by hand will take you so much time. Now on the go, every single idea you get back is matching your non-negotiable in terms of what is a winning product for you. And here, a very simple example, like just to reflect how I usually start my pro development journey, I would put my non-negotiables in terms. Okay, here in this example I did for yoga. So let's say I want to do yoga products, and I say I want to do yoga products, but they have to be lightweight, they have to be easy to package, they have to not have a lot of variation, things along those lines. And you can see how in a couple of seconds, because now ChatGPT has access to the web and the niche of yoga as a whole, I have right now 10 products, which again, I still need to validate 100%, but it's much faster, right, than you having to sit in China and say, oh, I have a yoga brand. What actually goes side by side with my yoga mat? And then you're sitting there and wasting so much time. Now you have 20 products that will give you that light bulb moment, and then walk the floor, you identify those products, and then you go deep into the data, right?
Yes, exactly. I love that.
Yeah. So now another thing that I feel it can be tough when you're doing product development is also coming up with improvement ideas, because the thing is, one side of the coin is doing the review analysis and coming up with improvements that could potentially make your pro better. But at the same time, like guys, some of the most successful pros out there sometimes doesn't come always from pro research. It comes also from the fact that you think out of the box to some extent, right? Which I know this is something that not everybody is has the inventor kind of mind, right? Is something that I feel to some extent you're born with. So if you struggle to come up with innovations that you think can make you pro unique, ChatGPT has that kind of a skill to some extent. Like it has access to so many different ideas that maybe have never been used in the yoga space. But ChatGPT, if it identifies resemblance in other niches, it will throw these ideas at you, and then maybe you can come up with a new idea that has never been brought to the market. It's like you become a disruptor. And that is in Amazon is something that I feel special nowadays. You have to come with that kind of mindset. If you try to come out always with the idea, no, I'm gonna bring similar product, but I'm gonna have a cheaper price, and I'm just gonna change the color and I'm gonna change the packaging. Unfortunately, that's not good enough. You really need to think outside the box, and that's why ChatGPT can be your friend. So quick example here is, for example, I could come out in less than 5 seconds with what are some of the main things improvements list I could try to implement to basically make my product better. In this case, I was having a look at, for example, yoga blocks, and here I was really struggling to like what can you actually improve on a yoga block, because I mean it is what it is, it's a yoga block. And then what? Yeah, it's a very simple product, right? So it's like I started to go deeper, like give me some ideas, and that's where I started to identify. Oh, actually, I never thought of that, but some things that could be improved is the order. Like it makes sense. You see always use this yoga block. It's in contact with your legs, your body, here and there. So it's very common. I started to assume that it will start to smell very bad. So what if I come up with a material that is smell resistant or has some kind of neutral smell, and therefore I could use that from a differentiation point of view. Like right there, that's a unique feature that if you actually go to Amazon, you're gonna find. Funny enough, that's an issue that a lot of yoga blogs have as of now, which
Oh,
that
really? I was
doesn't mean.
going to say, did you analyze the reviews of yoga blocks and
Yeah,
note that people said that they smelled bad?
yeah, yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah,
really that's crazy. That
yeah,
is a cool differentiation that you could do, and
yeah,
potentially you could even patent that, because nowadays you really do want to think about patenting your products before moving forward. You need to be protecting them, right?
yeah,
So you could look and see, okay, if there's never been a yoga block created that has, a no smell material, and design, you could potentially even patent that. So and
yeah,
those are things you'd want to think about, because if you're sourcing outside of online sources as well, when you're going in person, the advantage of that is that not as many people are going to find your exact supplier. And if you're changing up the material with that supplier, you can then sign a contract with that supplier and make sure that they're not going to release that information to anyone else. And you can
exactly.
have a really nice moat around your yoga brand and business.
Yeah, like something, and not only that, like people were saying, like And in fact, I saw that multiple times on reviews that people every 6 months have to buy new yoga blocks because they get so smelly that it's faster to buy new ones than to clean, because it's so difficult to get the odor out of it. So
I
that
don't
by
know
itself
why I
is
think this is so funny, but I like, I don't know. I guess I don't think of yoga as like a smelly sport.
well, I
So
can tell you, it can get sweaty. Yeah.
it's so interesting. It's interesting to think about that, but very, very cool tip.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, even the shape, guys. Like for example, another thing that I start to think, even from an ergonomic point of view, like everybody has always thought that yoga blocks have to be square because of the word blocks, but people are saying, what if actually they could be more like rounded or egg shaped? Because I know the day when you do use yoga blocks, usually you try to use it in between the junction of your leg, and sometimes the block can create pain or people is uncomfortable. So what if we create a shape that actually molds to the shape of your leg, and that actually could be a pattern by itself, a yoga blocks that
Yes, I was just
is
gonna say, thank you,
yeah,
Vincenzo, for continuing to think
yeah.
of patentable ideas. Yeah, I mean, such a good idea. And when you think about the experience that the customer has when they're using a product, if you're sitting on a yoga block, it's going to be much more comfortable if it's a dome shape than
Mhm,
you like you mentioned, like you could do like more of like a crevice for in between
mhm,
your legs, but there is the dome shape too, where if you're putting your hand down, which a lot of people use it for like putting their hand down if they can't stretch that far. I know I would much rather have that kind of dome shape than this block that's all wobbly and gonna fall over.
mhm.
So yeah,
Exactly.
really cool. And it would stand out on the page and people would be like, wait, what? That's a yoga block? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
E- Even from an image perspective, imagine when you start doing PPC, everything is a block, 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 and yours is completely different shape. That, from a psychological point of view, is going to drive a higher click-through rate. And if that is converted into sales, that's going to push your organic ranking faster than your competition. So it's a win-win on all sides, right?
So we're
So
starting a yoga block brand this year. Is that what we're doing,
I
Vincenzo?
guess, I guess you're gonna see me smelling yoga blocks in China soon.
We're so going to source that in China. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess I mean from a product development, I think some of the things I really want you guys to take out of the things we have talked so far is that s- up to the creation of ChatGPT, the reason why product development was so difficult is because, from a human perspective, it was difficult to connect the dots in terms of what is happening in the market, what is the data, what is my insights as a creator, and how I put all this together to come out with an outcome that then this outcome will be a product brief that I will give to my manufacturer. Now, you have this basically in terms of very fast access in a matter of seconds. So what I need you to do is, before you do any further product development with your own methodology that maybe are more manual, try to come up with a process, an SOP maybe for your VA could be, where you create at least 3, 5, or 10 of these product briefings that you can have in your hand. And maybe even if you are not able to go to China with us, at least use these kind of briefings when you talk to somebody in Alibaba or with your agent, because it changed completely the perception. First of all, how they see you is not the same. Me coming to you with a very detailed document of what I need, what the product has to be different from a differentiation point of view, and what are some of the outcomes I'm looking to achieve out of this partnership, compared to what most people do, which is, hello, my name is Vincenzo. I want to know what is the MOQ, how many colors, what is the payment terms, and well, the same thing that everybody does, right? So even from a perception point of view, which I strongly believe in business, first impressions are king to establish a long-term partnership. You want to make sure that you come as professional as possible when you start this conversation with manufacturers that really are gonna set the ground, so you can even have a bigger leverage when it comes to even doing negotiation with pricing or things like that, right? So yeah, it's definitely a big thing. And of course, then happy to, as you can see on the slides, what I also want to highlight a little bit is things like how you can enhance your experience beyond pro development. Like You can do things such as pro listing optimization. You can do images. You can do your PPC. Like AI doesn't stop there, and this is something you have to implement more and more on your Amazon business, because I can tell you how many times when we go into some Amazon business and we do audits and we compare what they're doing with their competitors, the fact that some of the Amazon sellers are also struggling is because there are so many Amazon sellers that have reached a level of automation with AI. It's mind blowing. Like some people are
Yeah.
fully automating their businesses, and if you don't do that, it's impossible that you on a manual approach are gonna catch up with them. So that's why you need to be mindful of these trends and adapt that.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to see a lot of businesses go down because, if I can launch things faster, validate things
Mhm.
faster, design things much faster than my competitors and automate my entire business, that reduces my workload on me and my staff. It requires me to have less employees and expenses. There's so much that can be replaced with AI that people really need to be aware of. So
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely get nerdy about this even on the trip to China.
Mhm.
We're in mid journey creating products and like
Yeah.
we there's no better way to kind of learn together than to hang out together and see what people are doing and the different ways that they're using it in their business.
Yeah, in fact, I remember you mentioned Mid Journey. Like that's something that's also, guys, gonna be a super important part of this basically implementation. Once you come up with an idea, you can use Mid Journey. And I know, Amy, you have shown very good examples of some of your presentations, where sometimes even if you have a written description of how the product should look like, sometimes you don't even know how the shape will be, or how you can really create a concept, like a visual one of how the product will look like with these new features. And that's where I think, as you mentioned, coming even with a 3D representation of with Mid Journey, how the product will look like, then you start a conversation in the Canton Fair will make things easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with AI, another thing, guys, is that of course some of the other things we use AI for is like listing optimization. Like we use it for or listing of A plus storefronts, visuals, images, and everything. The reason why I think this is gonna be an important step into your Amazon journey is because, especially with the trajectory Amazon is going, that's becoming more international in terms of new markets and everything. You really need to find ways to simplify your life in terms of, okay, how I localize my content, and how, especially if your catalog is very big, you can automate things, because we have clients sometimes that have 1,000 SKUs. Like, how are you gonna do 1,000 listings on a effective way under a short period of time to prepare for Prime Day, for example, to prepare for a specific event? That's where AI really shines. And some of the things that we do is that we automate some of our listing optimization to basically do the heavy lifting. So, for example, once you identify your main keywords, which you can do with your preferred tools such as Helium 10, for example, then what you do is you put this list of keywords into the different prompts that you get from ARPRM. That is, there is custom prompts for listing optimization, and on top of that, you can define the criteria. Here I give you a easy criteria as an example. It's like, okay, I want my title to be max between this amount of characters, right? Or I want my bullet points to focus only bullet point 1 to focus on emotion, bullet point 2 to focus on my pattern, bullet point 3 to focus on X, right? Things like that. And then another thing that we use ChatGPT for is not only to do grammar check, but also to make sure this syntax is correct. Because some of the things we find is that sometimes, especially if you're not a copywriter by trade, it's gonna be sometimes difficult to really make your message clear on a listing. So ChatGPT really helps you to get that to a very nice baseline. And then I always recommend, which is what we do, once we do the heavy lifting, we put all that through a tool that we use called Word AI. Why this is important, especially for you Amazon sellers, is because on Amazon, the last thing you want to have is a trademark infringement. And Word AI, what it does, it makes sure there's no kind of a copy from specific sources that are protected, that sometimes ChatGPT can oversee. Now, here a quick example of how we do it. We select our top 10 products. we validate the keywords, and by using the tool within ARPRM, we basically create a user prompt, and you can see how the fact that this prompt is being optimized for pro listing. I'm gonna pause. Yeah, if you put the video here, you're gonna see how effectively I was able. Sorry. You gotta be able to see how in a matter of seconds it even generates the all the different sections for you to just copy paste. You're gonna see on the video now how I'm gonna have the title, the bullet points, and everything following the specific criteria. And the nice thing of using this prompt is in the back end they actually following it. They also have been embedded things such as, okay, what is the Amazon TOS, prohibited keywords, so you can be confident that some of these listings have been basically following an SOP from a listing perspective. Um, Another tool, just to give you some options, like a tool that we use as well is Parsi. So this is pretty cool tool. Like if you're really not keen to do things manually, we use Parsi as well. Like if, like, let's say you don't want to spend time doing keyword research, you don't want to spend time really figuring and segmenting things on your own in terms of which keyword have to go on the title, which keyword have to go on the bullet point and things like that. Parsi has been optimized from an Amazon perspective to make sure that you can basically automate this much faster. In fact, the nice thing of Parsi is that not only you can do it in English or multiple languages, and you can even connect it now with your Amazon Seller Central, so it automatically pulls the listing. Now, images. This is the fun part. So with images, this is it's been the game changer for me, especially when, because I handle so many listings and brands, that if I wouldn't have done this, I think I wouldn't be able to be able to take as much workload as possible as we currently do. Because now with a mid journey, what we're able to do is essentially get a lot of the heavy lifting that essentially before we had to do a photo shooting or we had to do a session just for a specific image. Like usually we use mid journey to create the images that got them edited by our designers in terms of infographics, right? So something that we combine this with is with another plugin called Photorealistic. This is actually found within ChatGPT. The reason why you have to use this plugin is because Photorealistic, what essentially does is bring the level of technicality of your basically message to Midjourney to a level that Midjourney can essentially be as effective as possible, because Midjourney is not as efficient as ChatGPT when it comes to prompts. Like you really sometimes have to go in detail, and to avoid the level of itinerations, it's better you use this from the very beginning. And a very quick example, I did a video here. We're using Photorealistic. I put a create realistic image of photos of yoga blocks, be using a temple in the middle of the nature, right? So imagine if I had to do a shooting of that, it would cost me thousands of dollars. But here you can see how detailed the photorealistic prompt is. That even talks about the camera, the opening, the lighting, and things like that. And by putting that in Midjourney, you can see how in a matter of pretty much seconds, I was able to create an image that it looks so real. Like the lady, actually, let me put pause so you see the image. It's so realistic, that image, that you will never say this image is essentially fake. Like you can see it's a real person. It has the background of the temple. It has different iteration that you can then keep playing, the lighting, the shadowing, and it keeps getting better and better. Like the level of detail that sometimes you get is crazy. And then of course this is not going to give you the full infographic. You need to manipulate this image afterwards with other tools I'm going to show you, but it creates a lot of removal of barrier in terms of budget that you had to put aside for images. Now you can use Midjourney to do a lot of the secondary images that you need for infographics. um Another thing that we use, and this is a partner of ours as well, we use eContent as well. They have a lot of new features. In fact, this specific video doesn't have all the latest ones, but it also removes a lot of barrier in terms of entry of creating images. Now you can not only create images such as the one in Midjourney, but you can also create infographics. In here, for example, we are mainly having a look at normal images without text, but you can see how just by having the single item, which you could get from the manufacturer. If we go to the Canton Fair, you get the a white background. Now you can have the images. And actually, the reason why this is also a good exercise for you guys, something I usually like to do, this is an extra a trick I recommend you for product development. Let's say you have decided to sell this specific toy, but you don't know how it's going to perform in the market. Because at the end of the day, what really defines success for you on Amazon is how your images get you in terms of click-through rate and sales. So what do? I go to these AI tools, I create my all my images for my listing, and then I use a tool such as Pigfu, for example, and I basically fake a listing. I say, okay, this is my listing, okay, with all my images. This is my product, and then I put my old competitor already in the market, and I basically try to say, okay, I need to figure out a way until my product wins. I do different iteration, different angles. Maybe I change features that I know on the spot my manufacturer can do, and until I reach the point with my campaign on Pigfood that my product is the winner, then that's where I will have more confidence that is being validated by real people, that my AI kind of simulation of what I will launch as a new product is actually what people will prefer in a real environment, right? So that's another thing I actually also do. Yeah.
And then another thing that I love to do is take my competitors' listings and
Mm.
images and upload them into ChatGPT and ask what I can do specifically with my images and my listing to be better. And
Exactly.
then I will generate those images or ask ChatGPT, Dolly to create them right inside of that chat, just so I have kind of layout ideas. Then you could use the describe function inside of Midjourney. You could upload that image and have it describe it, and then use that as your prompt. Change up the prompt a little bit, and before you know it, you have a really, really great image
Hmm.
for your product. Another hot tip is taking that image that you generated into Photoshop and just
Exactly.
changing out the
Yeah.
whatever product is in the fake image for
Hmm.
your product. And then you
Yeah.
can also use Photoshop's AI generation tools to generate other
Yeah.
objects inside of that image. And you can do that with your A plus content, everything else. But yeah, I love the idea of validating those images before going live with them and making sure that you have the winning pick. But I love also getting, photo layout ideas from ChatGPT because it's so on point. Like it can really, really kind of
Yeah.
drive a better photo layout options for you.
Yeah, and I think the good thing of also having these images with you once you go to China is that sometimes if you're not a person that have a manufacturing experience, sometimes you're gonna come up with a specific shape, a specific kind of a representation of the product that you think is even possible to manufacture. But sometimes when you show this to a manufacturer, they're gonna tell you, the machine has this kind of a limitation. A shape is not even possible, right? So that's why having a visual representation of how the product will look with the new features that you can come up with the tools we're talking about will give you even a faster way when you are in China talking to the person. Like, it's actually this pro even possible to achieve? Because if not, what's the point of investing so much more time into samples and everything when you're never gonna be able to get there? So yeah, and not only from a product development point of view. And another thing I also recommend you guys, which is something we're using AI for, is even for packaging optimization. Because sometimes something that I feel people don't do during the product development phase is, okay, people talk about how to make the product different, how to make your image better, PPC sometimes, but something people don't talk about is like, let me actually research what are my competitors paying in FBA fees. What is the category they're falling under in terms of dimensions and weight? What if I come up with a way that I can go on a lower tier, pay less FBA fees, and therefore have a better a profit margin? And that's where AI can actually be your friend as well, because you can go to Amazon, take the full list of the table of the dimensions and weight per FBA fee, explain that to ChatGPT, and give them a try to figure out based on these dimensions what kind of packaging and things I can come up with. And then you can have also technical sheet in terms of what are the product specifications from dimensions and weight that they have to meet, so you pay a lower FBA fee. So that's another thing you can use AI for example.
and even, asking it, how could I change this product, the assembly of this product, or the packing of this
Exactly.
product. You can even upload an image of how that product is packed right now, and then say, how can I change the packaging, or how can I change the assembly or configuration of this product to make it a smaller
Yeah.
product or a smaller package, because that's good, definitely, will save you on your fees, whether you're selling on Amazon, TikTok, wherever. It's going to save you on shipping fees. So that's
Yeah.
another great use of it.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have, I think you had something about inventory management, and I would love
Yes.
to do that before we wrap
Yes.
up for today.
So funny enough, this one is about the trick you mentioned. Like I did it with Google Bar by the same with ChatGPT. You upload a competitor image, and you get in exactly the elements that will define this image as a winning one, and then that will give the script that you give to the prompt to generate the mid journey prompt, or to your designer, or to your photographer, or whoever you wanna give. So you know exactly what your image has to hit. Um, Now advertising very high level. So something that we do with advertising, guys, is sometimes you struggle to come up with a different copy and taglines for your ads, specific for those that are already doing sponsored brands. Like you want to come up with a different strategies for your videos, for your custom images, for your custom messages. We're using heavily AI for that, because once we understand your avatar, we come up with a scripts or images or a custom things that really trigger an emotion for them to really have the impulse towards your product. So that's another thing I recommend using ChatGPT for. Here's a very quick example. Again, is I'm gonna share the slides so you can review the video in more depth. But here, essentially, what I did is we gave a briefing of the brand, and ChatGPT in a matter of seconds gave me taglines that were following Amazon terms of conditions, and at the same time, I could use on my sponsored brands in terms of custom text and custom images, so I could compare better against my competitors. Another thing that you can use ChatGPT is to optimize your PPC. So you can download the reports from your essentially Amazon, right? And your, in this case, your flat files, and then you can give these flat files essentially to ChatGPT, and as you can see, it can come up with a summary of essentially the performance per match type, per campaign, per keyword level. This, even for us, is being super useful when a client say, can you figure out what happened last month? Like I can put all my reports of PPC, and in a matter of seconds, I have a detailed report from my client to really break down what is happening. You can do the same, but for your business, and in a matter of seconds, rather than you having to pay to a person to dissect your PPC, ChatGPT is finding the holes in terms of where the money is going, what are your wins, and where you have to leverage your business forward. Right? Inventory management. So something of the things that we do, that this is heavily attached with success on Amazon, guys, is if you got out of stock, you lose the momentum. And essentially, this is super important, because if we put all this effort to get your position organically, and then you're gonna be ourselves for 2 3 months, sometimes that's like starting from zero. So that, what do? We need to be very clear in terms of what your lead times, in terms of shipping from China, manufacturing. We also put a discrepancy like of 2 or 3 weeks of Amazon receiving the inventory, and then we also download your order history from essentially no order history in this case. If you're starting from zero, it will be your competitor average orders per month. But if you're already a seller, you can download your order history. And then what we try to do is, with the sales velocity of your product, the lead time from shipping, lead time from manufacturing, and discrepancy, essentially you can design our inventory management plan in terms of when you need to order, how many times per year, and then what are some of the things you have to be mindful to take in consideration for up season, lower seasons, and seasonality, essentially. So here, of course, I did it very briefly just to show you how detailed this can go. Like I only asked ChatGPT, this is my lead times for manufacturing, this is my lead time for shipping, this is my sales velocity. And in a matter of seconds, I was able essentially to have a full breakdown of a plan. Like if I go here, you can see how it breaks down the full cycle, how many orders, how much stock I need to have in hand. And these, if you try to do the calculation sometimes by hand, it can be very lengthy. But now ChatGPT is creating this on the fly, and you can, to some extent, if you had the custom ChatGPT, as I told you, a ChatGPT starts to learn what is the frequency of your inventory and starts to becoming more and more accurate. So essentially, after doing it 3 or 4 times, the inventory management can be very precise. Like for example, what is exactly going to happen in the next 2 months based on the last 6 months of history that you've been doing this within my own custom chat GPT. So that's another thing that you can do to be super accurate with your inventory. Yeah.
Got it.
Hmm.
Amazing. So you have these slides for everyone, right? You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the, is there a QR code?
So the way I'm gonna give it, guys, is it's a link actually. So how you think we can share the link? Should I put it on the
I can
chat?
put it on the screen if you have a short
Okay.
link.
Okay. So yeah, let me
Yeah,
let
just
me.
throw it in chat and then we'll get it out there. And I'm going to share my screen quickly and show you guys where you can go to learn more about our China trip. And let's talk about the China trip since we are headed there. And then we can dig into Vincenzo's slides. We do want to tell you that Vincenzo has an amazing coupon code for the China trip, and it is Vincenzo in China. So you can use this coupon code to save $350 on your trip. Right now, prices are very good. The price of our trip is just definitely much, much lower than other trips, and you get incredible experiences. So I'm going to share my screen and just kind of show you guys what we got going on here for our China trip. You can head over to amazingathome.com/China, and you can learn all about our trip and where we're going, what we're doing. So we're a 10-day sourcing trip. And Canton Fair is huge. I'm sure, you know, if you've never been there before, it's just absolutely incredible. It's something to
And it's
see.
fun. It's fun as well. I can tell you
It's really fun.
that.
Yes. There's so much to see and so much to do. And so we love going. And we have a ton of trip mentors coming along with us. So you're going to get to walk the floor with them. You're going to get to learn from them. And we travel during phases 2 and 3 of the Canton Fair. So we've got our trip from October 24th, which is the second day of phase 2, all the way through November 2nd, which is a few days into phase 3. That way we can catch both phases of the Canton Fair, and you can, you know, source all over, everywhere, you know, within those phases. And then in between, in the weekend in between, we actually tour the city. We do very special business excursions. This year we're going to do an interesting one-day mastermind that has never been done before. Amazon may be involved with that as well. TikTok may be involved with that. We don't have all the details yet, but we're putting together some very special. Every time we do a special business excursion. So last time we went to the headquarters of Shein, and we learned how to sell on Shein. And then Vincenzo came with us the time before, and we went to Alibaba in Shenzhen for the day. Yeah. And had a supplier day. It was just a really fun day. We got to eat in, everybody loved eating in the cafeteria with the Alibaba staff. It was just different and cool and unique. We do tourism things. We do karaoke. We do networking dinners. And, you know, it's just a fun-filled, packed trip. And it's like nothing else you've ever done or ever gone to. So you can check out our trip schedule here on the site. And there's all sorts of great videos kind of from our different trips that we've done. We kind of put these highlights here. You know, last time we went and did a port tour. That was so cool seeing the port. But, you know, and then we had our Shein headquarters tour. We always eat street food because that's fun. And then, you know, this city of Guangzhou is absolutely beautiful. It lights up at night. It's really cool. So we take a Pearl River cruise and we tour the city so that you get kind of some tourism in there too. And you really build friendships for life, which is pretty awesome. So definitely check it out. Everything is included. So you can kind of go through our different gallery of photos here, but everything is included in our trip except for your flight, basically. So you just got to get yourself to China, and we help you with that as well. But you just get yourself to China, and and then we pick you up from the airport, and everything else is taken care of. And we also do some pre-trip training and master classes. So this is key in actually understanding, like, how do you pack for a trip to China? What should you bring? How do you prepare? And then each of our mentors and sponsors do a special workshop with our attendees prior to the trip as well. And Vincenzo is going to be showing our attendees how to really think about their PPC in terms of product validation. So how do you validate what your clicks are going to cost you, and how many keywords are available, and whether or not you can steal market share. So we're going to do an in-depth class about that. And one of our other mentors, Mike Michelini, is going to be talking about how to do product research and really think about, like, what should I be doing before I go on the trip, to kind of come up with that list of products. Additionally, you also get access to Amazing at Home's course library. So you will be able to, explore all of our resources on sourcing, on product development, on, product selection, on launching, on ads, all those things. We just want to prepare you in the best way possible and provide the most value for the trip. So that being said, we hope you guys will join us in China. Like I said, right now, the prices are very good for our trip. And, they do tend to go up as we get closer and closer to the trip, because hotel prices go up as people start booking. It's the largest influx of Westerners to China twice a year. So you really do, you want to get in there early and book your trip. So reach out if you have any questions at all. There's our WhatsApp link is on here. But reach out, and we hope you will join us. And Vincenzo, you put the link here to your slides in the chat. Let me throw that up there. And I'll put it inside of the text here. So if you would like Vincenzo's slides, there is.
I also have to say, just to add on top of that, like, I want to share a little bit of my experience. I think last year definitely was one of the best trips I did. I think not only from the perspective of, the fact that you get to, discover a new culture and get to know so many places that you only have seen in movies, is the fact that you are really building friends for life. Like, I have so many friends still from that trip that, we talk on a weekly basis. Some of them we do business together, and beyond that, like the manufacturers, when you meet them in person, that creates a link that, trust me, in business, especially for Chinese, the fact that you go there and you go beyond your way to actually meet them in person, that's going to give you an edge compared to the person that only goes to Alibaba, right? So that's some of the things that really can allow you to get access to specific, support from their side in terms of unique products, unique payment plans, and things like that I think can really allow you to scale your business much faster. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and reach out with any questions that you have. And thank you, Vincenzo, for being here and giving us some wisdom on this Wednesday. We always need it. I learned a lot. You use AI a little bit differently than me, and I think all of us use it a little differently. Yeah. So it's cool to see, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about doing that or that angle on this. So I'll definitely be playing with some of these tools, like Word AI. I haven't heard that one. So I'm gonna play around with it and see what it's all about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. It's been a pleasure, and can't wait to see you in China.
See you guys.